Hello and welcome back to your therapy guide. I'm Dr. Yadegarfard, and today we are going to talk about something that almost everyone struggles with at some point: the difference between reacting and acting. More specifically, we are going to explore how therapy helps people build a pause, a small but powerful space between an impulse and a response, and why that pause is so important for change. If you ever said to yourself, "Why did I react like that? I knew better. It is still happened. It was like I couldn't stop myself." This episode is for you. Let's start by defining what we mean. A reaction is fast, automatic, driven by emotion or threat, often followed by regret. A reaction happens before you had time to think. An action, on the other hand, is slower, intentional, influenced by values and context, something you can usually stand behind afterwards. This episode is not about good versus bad behavior, it's about speed, control, and capacity. In psychology research, both reactions and deliberate choices are technically called responses, but in everyday language it's helpful to make a distinction. In this episode, when I say reaction, I mean an automatic threat-driven response, and when I say action, I mean a response that includes a pause and a choice. Why reaction happens so fast? From a brain and nervous system perspective, reaction makes sense. The human brain is designed to prioritize safety. When something feels threatening, emotionally or physically, the brain shifts into speed mode. Thinking becomes secondary, survival becomes primary. This is why in moments of high emotion, words come out before you've chosen them. Actions happen before you've reflected. And afterwards you think, that wasn't what I meant to do. Reaction is not a character flaw. It's a biological response to perceived threat. In simple terms, there are two broad ways information moves in the brain. One is bottom up, fast, emotional, sensory, automatic. The other is top down, a slower, reflective, language-based, choice-driven. When the nervous system is calm, top-down process can guide behavior. When the nervous system is highly activated, bottom-up process take over. Reaction happens when bottom-up systems are in charge. This is where many people feel stuck. They say, "I understand my triggers. I know where this comes from. I can explain it, but I still react." That's because insight creates understanding, not control. Reaction happens before conscious thought has time to intervene. So knowing why you react doesn't automatically stop the reaction. This is not a failure of motivation, it's a timing issue in the nervous system. In therapy, we often talk about building a pause, and it is important to be clear about what we mean by that. The pause is not willpower, is not discipline, and is not forcing yourself to behave differently. The pause is a moment of reduced arousal. A brief window where emotional intensity drops slightly. Attention widens. Choice becomes possible. Without that shift, there is no pause, only reaction. When someone is highly activated, the body is tense, breathing is shallow, attention narrows, thinking becomes rigid. In that state, asking yourself to pause and choose is unrealistic. The pause only exists when the nervous system allows it. That's why therapy focuses so much on slowing things down, noticing patterns, reducing internal threat, not to control behavior, but to create a space. Therapy doesn't eliminate impulses. Everyone has impulses. What therapy does is increase the space around them. It does this gradually through co-regulation with another person, like the therapist, repeated noticing without judgment, making reactions predictable rather than mysterious, and reducing shame around patterns. Over time, reactions feel slightly less urgent. That urgency reduction is the pause beginning to form. Let's take a look at some common examples. You feel criticized by someone close to you. Your body tightens, your chest feels hot, your thoughts narrow. Before you've reflected, you snap back. Later, you think that escalated quickly. That was reaction. Now imagine the same trigger but with a pause. You still feel the surge, but there is a brief moment where you notice, I'm activated. You might still respond but differently. Maybe you say less, maybe you take a space, maybe you choose to come back to the conversation later. That's action. Not perfect, just more intentional. It's important to say this clearly. Reaction is not always wrong. Sometimes reaction protects boundaries, signals danger, prevents harm. The goal of therapy is not to suppress reaction. It's to make sure reaction isn't the only option. Choice matters more than control. Today's episode connects directly to the previous episode. Shame collapses the pause. When people attack themselves for reacting, threat increases, arousal rises. The next reaction becomes more likely. Self-compassion does not excuse behavior, it reduces internal threat. And when threat reduces, the pause widens. When people fight their internal experience, emotion intensifies, reactions speed up. Acceptance doesn't mean liking the impulse, it means recognizing this is happening right now. That recognition alone can slow the process. This is important. Progress does not look like never reacting, always staying calm, and perfect self-control. Progress looks like reacting slightly less often, noticing sooner, recovering faster, choosing differently sometimes. Even a half-second pause is progress. The pause is built through repetition. Each time you notice a reaction, reflect afterwards, respond with less shame, you're teaching your nervous system that awareness is safe, mistakes are survivable, change doesn't require punishment. Over time, the pause grows. If you struggle with reacting, it doesn't mean you're impulsive, broken, or failing. It usually means your nervous system learned that speed once meant safety. Therapy doesn't take that away. It helps you build pause around it. Before we finish, I want to leave you with this. The goal of therapy is not to eliminate impulses. It's to build enough space between impulse and response so that the choice becomes possible. That space is not forced, it's built slowly through safety, understanding, and practice. Thank you for joining me today on your therapy guide. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and take care of yourself.